Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Wherever you are, we're greeting you. We are once more back again with Dr. Niamu Dako. Today, we're going to be talking about the fair states, which is something he's talked about a lot. And once again, we are on the ARM, the African Reform Channel, Movement Channel, where we are able to drink of the wisdom and hear of the vision that Dr. Niamu Dako has for a prosperous Ghana. Dr. Niamu Dako, welcome. You're on the air. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Thank you very much, Shika, for your warm introduction. Your usual warm introduction. Brothers and sisters, thank you for making time to share this time with me. We are talking about something. Everybody is shouting, new constitution, new constitution, new constitution. The key thing is this. A constitution defines the states. So when you are shouting for a new constitution, you must know that you are actually shouting for a new state. We've had 4 constitutions so far. Actually, we've had 5 constitutions. The 1957 Constitution, the 1960 Constitution, the 1964 One-Party Constitution, the Second Republic, the Third Republic, and the Fourth Republic. Actually, we've got 6 constitutions.
So if we have 6 constitutions, how come we are only in the Fourth Republic?
Because the Independence Constitution is not counted. Because at that point in time, we are a sovereign dominion in the Commonwealth. We became a republic in 1960. And again, they don't actually count the one-party state constitution before, because it was still within the First Republic. So we jumped from 1960 First Republic to 1969 Second Republic. So we've had 6 different constitutions, and people must understand that between 57 and 64, 7 years, Nkrumah brought 3 constitutions. Okay, 3.
Okay. So are those 3 constitutions part of the 1, 2, 3, 4 that we are now?
No, just only one. Then only the 1961 is the First Republic Constitution.
Okay.
But he governed with 3 constitutions in 7 years. Each constitution took power away from the people and concentrated power in his hands until you got the ultimate, the one-party state constitution, where the party became the state. We haven't recovered. Okay? Those who don't want to hear the truth can just close their eyes, their ears, and go to bed.
So Dr. Niamu Dako, you are giving us the background to
I'm giving the background why we are where we are.
Okay.
Tell me the Second Republic Constitution, it did not last more than 2 years, 3 months, and it was gone. Then came the Third Republic Constitution. It did not last more than 2 years, 3 months, and it was gone.
So who was the Second Republic? Who was
Buzia's government.
Buzia's government. Then the Third Constitution was whose government?
Liman.
Okay. After the revolution, the so-called revolution.
Yes, the Phantom Revolution. So after that, now we have the Fourth Republic Constitution. The reason why I'm saying this is this. We have to know that structurally, the Fourth Republic Constitution is a light version of the one-party state constitution. Because the framers of the constitution, they were faced with a big deal. How to get Rawlings to agree to a constitutional change. So they quickly went back to the Nkrumah template and created a live version of the Nkrumah template for Royal, so they will know that nothing has changed. You still have the power. Now you are just the constitutional dictator.
Okay.
So that's where we are today. Now,
okay.
When people are screaming new constitution, they must know exactly what they are screaming against and what they want.
Exactly.
Because it's not the first constitution.
Exactly. Okay. So can you, in a few words, just tell us what you think is wrong with the current constitution? I believe the program that we had 2 weeks ago touched on this, but perhaps for viewers who have not heard what you said 2 weeks ago, perhaps you can give us just a little bit of what you think is the reason why Ghana needs a new constitution from this fourth, for a fifth republic.
So the preamble, the soul, the gateway, the constitution we have now says that in exercise of our natural and inalienable rights, with the people of Ghana, we have established this framework of government.
Okay.
To ensure, I'm actually paraphrasing it, to ensure for ourselves and posterity, prosperity, equality of opportunity, and something else I've forgotten. So the objective of the constitution is that we need a framework of government that will give us these three things, and liberty.
Okay.
Liberty.
So
let me finish. Liberty, equality of opportunity, and prosperity for ourselves and the generations yet unborn. That's the key objective. Now, the framework of government in the constitution has failed completely, because it was not meant to work anyway. It couldn't have worked. It was created as a constitutional dictatorship. So now, if we say we want a new constitution, we must know what we want and what we want to replace it with. All right. First slide.
Okay, hold on 1 second. Let me get the slides together. I think I remember you telling us about how the current constitution has been abused by all our subsequent governments, and that is the reason why we need
yes, the framework in the constitution is so lax, it's so discretionary that anybody who gets power can abuse it. For instance, the framework of government is that we don't have any number of limits on presidents, no number of limits on Supreme Court judges, no number of limits on parliamentarians, no number of limit on district assemblies. So somebody comes, his friend loses parliamentary seat, then he creates a district assembly for him.
Right.
Somebody comes, he loses the case in the Supreme Court, and he passes the Supreme Court to get the desired outcome. A chief tells somebody that, oh no, I don't want to be part of this assembly. Then he creates one for the chief. He expects the chief to organize people to vote from the next time. So that's the thing. It is so discretionary. It depends on the benevolence of the constitutional dictator as what to do with the power.
Okay.
Now, that's where
here is your slide.
Yes. So now we are here talking about Cometh, the first state. What other states do we know of? A capitalist state, a socialist state, a welfare state. Next slide, please. The capitalist state. Rule of money, for money, and by money. This needs no
explanation.
The fundamental truth is this: if we leave nature to take its course, this is what we are going to have. And we have to understand this. nature is unfair, okay, or nature is unequal, the act of governance, the act of leadership is to try and make nature fair. Fundamentally, nature is equal at all levels, in all circumstances. Okay.
So you mean our responsibility as human beings is to create some equilibrium to even out things.
Yes, to make things a little bit fair. You got to try and control the inputs and let talent and whatever determine the output. Okay. You and your brothers and sisters, you are not equal. It doesn't matter what anybody does, but your father has the responsibility to give you the same opportunity. And then your personal hard work, your determination, your talent will determine the outcome. Not everyone can be Abedi Pele. Not everyone can be Muhammad Polo, but you need to give all of them equal access. The rule of money for money and by money doesn't actually do that. In the end, the poor becomes poorer in the natural scheme of things. Okay, next slide.
The next slide. Oops, sorry. Just 1 second.
All right, the socialist state. They say that if you are 20 years and you are not a socialist, then you are heartless. And if you are 40 and you still remain a socialist, then you are a fool. Because by the time you move from 20 to 40, well, it doesn't work like that. Okay? Yeah, it doesn't work like that. You know, as a 20-year-old, you feel that, oh, this and that and that and that. No, yeah, fair enough. But when you turn 40, you're still a socialist, you're a certified fool, a congenital fool. Socialism, state ownership of means of production. Okay. State ownership of means of production. Under capitalism, means of production is privately owned. Under socialism,
so Doc, perhaps you should use some real life examples.
Like, I'll come to that. State ownership of means of production, that everything in the country is produced by state-owned enterprises. Okay. So that everybody works for the state. And the state decides what everybody earns. So the state leverages income. So the state controls both the input and the output. So that even if you can play football like Abedi Pele, there is no motivation to play like Abedi, because at the end of the day, you will play like Adu Bela. All right. The next one is dictatorship of the proletariat. Okay. Now, they will tell you that is state ownership. But the state is not a human being. The state is then owned by the proletariat, which is the word used for the working class collectively. Okay, so now they take over, they push the previous capitalist class, and they take over. But unfortunately, they don't know anything about production. In the end, they hide behind the state and they steal for themselves. We've seen that all over the place. Now, and the third, socialism is state-led feudal state. It's a feudal state, not controlled by the barons, but controlled by the working class. It's as simple as that. It's got nothing to do with equality. And that's why people read in Animal Farm. It's not nothing about equality. But then, when you are 20, you are able to accept the rhetoric and the nonsense. But if you remain the same at 40, then, my friend, you are a congenital fool.
That's very strong language.
But that is the simple truth. We all accept 20 years, yeah, you see the world in a particular way. And that is why all of them become hypocrites. We know all of them in Ghana. When they came to Ghana, they were wearing Chalewote, Afro Moses, By the time they hit 40, they were wearing the most expensive things in town, is because they realized that no, thinking at 20 years thinking is primitive. Now they see the real world.
Even the ones that remain socialists into their 60s, they call themselves champagne socialists.
Socialists. Because they understand that that's not how the world works.
That's right.
The next slide. The next slide. The welfare states. Beautiful. This is the most deceptive of all. Because, you see, I can talk about the welfare state for 50 years non-stop. The fundamental principle here is this. These things started with noble ideas way back in Acts of the Apostles chapter 6, when everybody brought his or her things to the feet of the apostles, and they sold them and shared to meet their needs. Okay? Not to progress them, to meet their needs. Is for sustenance and not for progress.
Okay.
Then that's when Ananias and Sapphira lied and were struck dead by the Holy Spirit. Because it was their own thing. There was no need for them to lie. They can say, I sold all, I want to keep 80% and give 20%. Nobody can force him. But they lied because they wanted to give a wrong impression. That's the difference between socialism and the welfare state, in this state, because in socialism, you have no choice. You have to work for the state, and the state will decide. But here, it is your own thing. You own your means of production, and you bring what you want to the table, to the feet of the apostles, for them to share, according to the needs of the members, according to the needs. Then,
can I interrupt you 1 second? So, in the welfare state, sometimes they are capitalist states, though. They can be a capitalist state that is a welfare state.
I'll come to that. You see number 3. You see number 3? Number 3 is perpetuate poverty. Okay, I'll explain that to you. The origins of the modern welfare state. Then, when Caliph Umar, the second caliph of the Rashidun Caliphate, in the 7th century came, he used zakat. Zakat is the alms that the Muslims gave. He used that to establish a fund to distribute income to the poor and to the widows. So then he made that more like an institution, okay, but to meet their needs. The minimum of minimum. Okay, you cannot be in a welfare state and get those means, those little things, and be rich. That's not the intention. The intention is to sustain you so that if there was war at that time, you could be called to war to go and fight for the Islamic State. But it was made from a good point, I must say. Then we have it's a bandage treatment. You know, if you got a sore and they some salt water, they put bandage on it. They are not treating the sore. They're just making you feel comfortable for the moment. And in the new system, they've tried to make the exception, the small group of people exception, they've tried to normalize the exception so that people feel entitled. In Australia, the welfare bill is $75 billion. Ghana budget is about 15 billion. The welfare bill in Australia is 5 times more than Ghana budget. And once you give, you can take it back. And the effect is that you perpetuate poverty. What people don't understand is that welfare cuts the vision of receivers. When it started in UK, a little over 100 years ago, it wasn't started by the Labour Party. It was started by a center right, because they believed that if they could give the crumbs off their table to the poor, they will enjoy their wealth.
And also, in places, some of the Scandinavian countries are welfare states in the sense that they have heavy welfare states heavily tasked the people who are producing in order to pay for the people who are not doing anything or contributing anything, and that is a burden for some people.
Yeah, I think Sweden marginal tax is 53%.
And Denmark.
And Australian marginal tax is 45%. I pay 45% tax. Yeah? Because of 75 billion welfare debt, the welfare budget. And that perpetuates poverty. And the people feel, okay, yeah, they can buy a car, they can do this, but I've seen 5 generations of people who have never worked before. So the solution for Ghana or for Africa is not a welfare state.
No.
Next slide.
You also must admit that the level of poverty that we have throughout the continent is so much that we certainly need some kind of safety net for the poor so that they can actually lift themselves up. I mean, this is...
Yes, that is true. That is
so
true.
There's your fifth
so
slide.
this is the key. You see, all that we have described, we are talking about 3 things. Production, who owns it? Participation, who participates in the production? And profit, how it's shared.
So these are the key principles of the fair state that you're talking about.
Yes, in fact, that's the key principle of any state.
Okay.
Except that in the socialist state, the production is held by the state.
Mm-hmm.
Participation is controlled by the state. And the state shares the profit.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. In the capitalist state, production is held by the capitalists, participation is controlled by the capitalists, and the profit goes to the capitalists. In a welfare state, usually it's mixed economy between state-owned and private-owned. And the key factor here is to tax heavily to make some people feel comfortable in their state. That's what we call stay where you are. You know, that's the whole idea. Now, when you are thinking of a new state, then you have to calibrate. You have to look at these 3 things and see how you are going to balance them.
Yeah.
You have to see how you are going to balance them to make sure that production is not skewed. Even if it is skewed, participation is broad-based. And particularly only broad-based if people have adequate skills. And that's where education comes in.
Mm-hmm.
If you know, I talked about wealth of nations not too long ago. And I said there were 3 types of wealth. Natural wealth, which is the gold, the oil, whatever. In civilized and advanced societies, they contribute 3% of total wealth. The second one is manufactured wealth. The roads, the things we manufacture, they form 20%. And the third one is intangible wealth that forms 80%. And the key
intangible wealth.
Yeah, the key things in the intangible world are 2: rule of law and education. Okay.
Yeah.
Rule of law.
We have challenges with both.
Yes. So rule of law, judiciary, property rights, incorruptible police, and all those things, responsible parliament, responsible executive, all those ones form the rule of law. And then education. Now, out of the 80, that is from intangible wealth, 50%, 7% of the 80 is from rule of law, and 36% is from education. So now, when you talk about participation, it means education. For people to participate, they must educate. That is state responsibility. And once there is broad-based participation, you know that profit will also be broad-basely shared. Because it follows. Now, Steve Jobs said that society is there to be reshaped. And that's when he started his Apple thing, that he was going to change society. And he did. Ghana is there to be reshaped. We have to have a system that production is broad-based, participation is broad-based and profits are shared in a broad-based manner. You see, we haven't done a lot of things. When you go to a night market,
one of my favorite places.
It's a production hub of locally
Yes.
It's a locally produced food. But there's no structure to it.
No.
There's no structure to it. Now, when you come to a food court in Melbourne, it's the same as the food, it's the same as night market in Osu. But there's a structure to it. Each person there has an ABN or small business number. And because of that, the person can get loan and things at lower rates because of A, B, C, D. There are so many things with tax that help the person to grow. We don't have that system. People I knew who were selling kenke on the table, their children and grandchildren are still selling kenke on the table. But there's no system to harness their energy for production.
Let me play devil's advocate and tell you that, well, one can consider that the informal market, whereas if you go to Accra Mall or the West, any of these new malls, their food courts have the situation that you're talking about. Now the question becomes, how do they transform the informal sector, which the Osu night market falls into, perhaps?
Osu night market, Achimota night market, Circle night market, Buko. Now, this informal sector is about 80% of our economy.
Exactly.
Okay. So now what you're talking about is not to focus so much on the exception, but what is the norm? The norm is that the informal market is totally unregulated and unsupported. Okay. When I don't want to go into that, when God is built Makola 1924, and that Makola was set up, and their numbers and things. Because I came to my grandmother, a store and a store number, and we know how they do things. There was a structure to it. It was demolished. You see?
Right.
Creating a fair state means you don't have to be a scholar to live in the economy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because now we have over 300,000 students finishing university every year, and they're going to absorb 50,000.
No jobs whatsoever.
Because somebody who could be working in the food court of a Jewish boy who could be selling their food, culture, whatever, in a food court in Melbourne with university degree, because there is future in it. The same degree holder in Ghana will not say anything at Osu night market.
It reminds me of this story that you tell all the time about the relative or something whose mother was making meda. And yes, she went to school, and instead of joining the mother and bringing her education to the making of meda to improve it and make it a bigger thing, she decided to go and work as a secretary or a cleaner or something.
No. Yeah, cleaner Oswald Street. Like a Lebanese no government or Jeme. She went
right.
I was going to do a party, and I asked my mother, Auntie Anina, Auntie Abo was my age mate. Okay. How much school did she go? Finish middle from 4. Okay. Then so I asked my mother, I said, oh no, I'm going to get them medal from La. I said, what do you mean? Why not Auntie? Go, they've stopped. Why? Oh, I'll go to Awula, mama. She wears dress. She doesn't put on wax print. Tuning a Lebanese be a born shop.
Okay, you're speaking Ghana.
She goes to sweep shop in Osu Array. So
the point is, she abandoned the mother's business.
Although the mother never went to class 1, she went to form 4. So in the scheme of things, she should be more enlightened and be able to do the business the mother did to look after them better. But no. Okay, so the community lost skills. And skills, when you lose skills, you lose money.
Right.
All right. As I'm talking to you now, Agbo has got grandchildren that maybe I can even marry one. Okay.
I don't understand.
Now, what I mean is that he's got so many children. He's got children and grandchildren. That's because, you see, they were never helped to know that this medal that you are making is what you're going to use in all state functions in Osu.
That's right.
They were never helped. So talking about fair state, it goes beyond getting a job in the ministries.
It also comes with valuing our own things and then moving.
Local industry. If that is what it knows, I go. Oji, I go. You see, and that's a problem. We think that, I mean, you are here. Jews in this country, in Australia, they are probably maybe less than 100,000, but they own 58% of the stock exchange. Because they do everything. They do everything. Because they know that, this, where the need is, I'm going there. It becomes a family business. You can go and do PhD, you come and do that job. Because with your PhD, you should do it better than your father.
Okay.
So now, these are the key principles of economic restructuring. So that production will be collectively owned in a way. Participation will be broad-based, and profit, therefore, will go to where it will go to. I want to see, and I'm going to have in every district small business advisory board. Every district. And the EcoFed, I'm going to have only 55 districts. And we'll structure Ghana like we are in heaven.
Heaven. Wow.
Yeah, for those who do not know, when you go to Switzerland, on the rule of law scale, Switzerland is 99.5. Switzerland is almost perfect. So when we say, those Christians over there, when they say, our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come in. That kingdom is in Switzerland, it's here. It's 99.5. Nigeria.
What do you mean by 99.5? I don't understand.
No, it's scored against 100.
Okay. What are we scoring? What is the
rule of law, the judiciary, independence of the judiciary, effectiveness of government, and all those things.
I got you.
They calculate against a score of 100.
That's right.
Switzerland is 99.5. America is 91, and the 30 richest countries, the OECD, the average is 90.
And how about Ghana?
I don't have the data on Ghana, but Nigeria is 5. Yes.
So Ghana is probably around 6.
Well, for Sub-Saharan Africa, the average is 28.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. But Nigeria is 5. So Ghana may be 20 or whatever. I don't know. But I see that next week, I'm going to talk about creation of wealth. This first step principle is to make sure that people understand the economic structure and how to augment certain sections to make it fair. Next slide.
Okay, if you are joining us now, we are with Dr. Nia Mudaku on the ARM African Reform channel, where he talks about his vision for a prosperous, healthy, wealthy Ghana. Not for some alone, but for all Ghanaians. So thank you very much for all your questions. Make sure you put them in now whilst we are still online, and Dr. Nia Mudaku would address them accordingly. So now we are on your slide that says the fair state. So what is not so fair about our current state under the Fourth Republic?
What is not so fair is that...
What is not so fair?
Yeah, what is not so fair is that there is no support for the 80% informal sector. It's not being regularized. Okay, now, when we come to power, we're going to have a minister for the digital economy, deregulation, and small business, because that tells you the mindset of the leader. You're going to have a minister for the digital economy, for small business and for deregulation. Okay. Now, deregulation, like I said before, deregulation means taking away administrative or bureaucratic bottlenecks.
Bureaucracy.
And that's corruption.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we've got to have that structure. Anyway, the first stage, production, is individual-led but state-enabled. Fundamental.
Okay. Can you go back to the deregulation again? Give us a concrete, for instance, importation duties and all the steps that we have to go through.
Those are a lot of steps, but deregulation fundamentally means that nobody would need to leave Osu to even Accra for approval of anything.
So everything is decentralized. Every area has its services. You don't have to go to a central place with long lines like passport office, for instance.
Yes, because that increased cost of production. And that eats into the profit of the small businesses. And that increases bribes.
Exactly, corruption.
Which is endemic in Ghana. So you take a problem and you fashion solutions to the problem. Production is individual-led and state-enabled. And that's what you are talking about. For instance, when you take your list of things you pay at the port for duties, it's crazy. Get fund, ECOWAS, this. It's crazy. No country taxes its people into prosperity. Because whatever you charge there is transferred to the consumer. So, state enablement. Production, individual-led, and state enablement. If we can properly lead small-scale business in Ghana, it's going to be wow, because in Australia, 70% of all employees are employed by small business. Sorry.
Yeah.
Small businesses own 96% of businesses, but they employ 70%. Massive.
Okay.
Without small business, there is no economy.
Whereas in Ghana, the state employs the majority. I don't know what percentage.
The state employs the majority in the formal sector.
In the formal
sector. The informal is still 80%.
That's right. That's right.
But there's no support. There's no support. Why should somebody who says Kelly cannot get a mortgage and buy a house, but somebody who sells chips here can do the same?
Okay.
All right. We don't have an economy. All right. Good. Participation, equal opportunity. That means augmenting the skills of those on the ground and open up more skills for others to join, so that everybody gets equal opportunity. Nobody needs to go and do anything and beg for a job. Once the people believe that if I do this, I mean, when we're growing up, only couple went to play soccer. They will beat you and you go and play soccer. Today,
okay,
start to go and play soccer because there are rewards. So, open up the economy, regularize things, give people hope, and you see that you will not have a problem with unemployment. But the pigeonhole attitude of government employment will never work, because it has never worked anywhere. In Australia, 96% of all jobs are owned by small business. 70% of the economy is small business. It's not government.
So what would ARM do differently to allow the informal sector to be regularized in order to make it more profitable?
They should go and buy the book Whip No Africa. Okay. What I'm giving here is a sketch of the intention that these are the problems in the economy. Restructuring the economy, I've already said that there will be a minister for digital economy, small business, and deregulation. All right. So we're going to set up a new system that will put all these laws into place. And then at every district, you have a small business advisory board. So that they will come on outreach, like we used to do for Christ some time ago, and preach to the people how they can manage their business properly and help available. Because we know once you solve that, that will blossom. And profit.
Yes.
When we're kids.
Can you translate that for those who don't understand? Please.
Yeah, I'll say it. When we're kids, there was a program on GBC One, weekly program. Onye ochun, onye oye. More like no contribution, no job. You are able to work, like Apostle Paul said, he who does not work must not eat. It's a divine instruction. Onye ochun, onye oye. Before you put the person in that pigeonhole, you have to give the opportunity. If there's no opportunity, what does the person do? And that's the work of government, not giving excuses. All right. So the first is a whole chapter, or maybe 2 or 3 more chapters in one book. So anybody wants to know it? I don't mind the plagiaries. The plagiarists can go and read it, try and see what they can do about it. But it's mine.
So let me just tell our viewers where they can find your books. Dr. Niamu's books are available on an online virtual bookshop called Book Nook, BOOKNOOK. So if you Google Book Nook, or if you Google Book Nook and you put in Dr. Niamu's name, you'll find his books and you can order from there. Thank you very much. And let me just go over some of the questions that have come up, or some of the comments that have been made.
Okay.
Sophia Sean says, ni. Now Ghanaians are crying for a new constitution. So her point is, you started this conversation about a new constitution, and now Ghanaians are crying for one.
They will get it. Ask, and it shall be given.
Ask, and it shall be given. So Abigail Pashitu says, the people who have closed their eyes, I imagine, close their eyes to the truth or to what has to be done. And Patience Date, your sister, says good. And Victoria Quarte is saying that I am here, Ache.
Atache.
Okay, Atache. Then another comment by Patience says, yes, the greedy people can never operate openly. And Raimat, who I think is Elham, says, no one is safe to talk about our current situation in Ghana. So there's a gag order in Ghana, and where you can't talk about things, otherwise you are in trouble. What do you say?
Everything has got an expiry date. Everything has got an expiry date, though. That too shall come. Isaiah said, woe unto those who call good evil and evil good. Woe unto them, poor harm. And what they can do.
Okay. Then Victoria Quarte says the safety net in Ghana that we have now is to vote for an assertive person full of wisdom and intelligence to lead us. That would be the safety net.
That is the truth. What's it? I think so. David who said that when the righteous rule, the people rejoice. When the wicked rule, the people mourn. Okay? Simple as. And
then again, Mavic says, this is because we Ghanaians are not assertive. I believe she was talking about one of the points that you had raised before.
Yeah.
She says, where are the economists, those who did marketing, why are they quiet? I think when you were talking about the Osu night market.
Yes. Because they learn economics based on Adam Smith. I learned my economics in Osu. The center of the world.
Oh, center of the world. Center of your world.
Yeah. So there's a big difference.
That's right. And Sophia, thank you for the compliment. Oji sent a heart when you mentioned his name. And
Lady Ninja.
Mavic says, oh, Namanye. Oh, she didn't recognize that I was the one doing the program. Yes, thank you, all of you. I'm sitting in for our usual hostess, who is Uche Oneka, who is not available today. So, what are your final considerations about your slides, about the idea that we discussed today about the fair state, and what needs to happen in Ghana for the fair state? Do you think that changing the constitution alone would lead us into a fair state?
Seek ye first. Seek ye first. You see, even Jesus Christ knows that, or knew that, you cannot get everything at once. Even Jesus. When it comes to things that are oppressing and depressing people, there is a starting point. In chemistry, we call it rate limiting step. Okay, rate limiting step. Seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all other things shall be added unto you. Ghana, where we are today, we cannot grab with our 10 hands. Seek ye first the new states. Seek ye first the Fifth Republic. Seek ye first the fair state. And all these other things shall be added unto you. Chua, Umanjaba.
Yeah. Dr. Nia Mudaku, thank you so much for your wisdom once more. Larissa So is online. She says, good delivery. Hold on, let me put on did I? Yes. Oh, that's Collins. Collins says, Doctor, please, what would you consider to be done to streamline or deregulate the system at the customs, where huge sums of duty fees are paid for exports and imports?
Okay. So it's a long thing, but I wrote it in my book, We Know Africa, in the manifesto. And these guys try to copy it, but like always, they can't copy it well. They are like one guy in our class in primary school who was copying me during exams. And he didn't even know my name, so he copied my name too. He copied my name too. Because
so your point is, you have to know enough to even copy.
Yes, copy, you see. Now, Collins, this is very simple. I wrote several articles when, what's the other guy, Ken Furata, when he brought the luxury tax, I sliced him to pieces, all right? Then the following year, he withdrew it. He had no clue what he was talking about. Trust me. After the port is so easy. The only reason why it's congested and everything is that government spends what it doesn't have. So all the time, they add something else to unavoidable tax. That's the point. All the time, they have to add something to unavoidable tax.
Unavoidable tax meaning mandatory. Like,
yeah, so things are there. What you can do, there's nothing you can do about it. You have to pay. So they always increase unavoidable tax. But because they are stupid, they don't realize that if they increase unavoidable tax by 10%, they don't get 10% increase in revenue.
No, somebody is stealing. Somebody is being corrupt.
So there are leakages. Mm-hmm. Because the average human being, if you ask the person to pay 10,000 cedis, and he feels if you pay 3,000 cedis, you'll go and give bribe.
Exactly. Like Lucille is saying here that the average Ghanaian does not want to pay tax.
Yes. So if you increase the tax, he is going to pay bribe to avoid the tax. And if you increase the tax, you will not even pay it at all. Instead of paying 10,000, go and pay 5,000 and move away with it. So government will increase unavoidable tax by 10% and it gets less. So you have to increase again.
He won't pay 5,000. He will pay 5,000 to the person sitting at the collection point, and that money will not go into the state coffers.
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying we pay a bribe of 5,000 and get away. So right. If government is thinking, then government should bring the tax close to 5,000, where most people are comfortable to pay.
Exactly.
But they don't see it that way because they don't understand what they are doing. They honestly don't understand what they are doing. Now they've added 1% of import duty as COVID tax. Meanwhile, they've taken 6 million from the COVID fund to pay for architecture drawings. What kind of madness is this?
Oh my goodness, we are in trouble.
All right. So, people of Ghana, it is your choice. You adopted, enacted, and gave this constitution to yourselves. You did that. No Akufo-Addo, no Mahama. You have no clue.
Exactly.
No Kufuor, no Mills, no even Ronnie. You voted 92% to adopt, enact, and give this constitution to yourself. It is your business to throw it away. If you want to live the way you are living, no problem. It is your choice.
So, Uncle Larry. He says, great delivery and thought-provoking as always. And then Lucille made a very interesting comment. I would like, oh, sorry, this is not Lucille. Lucille's comment is, on the subject of deregulation and the setting up of an advisory board with the aim of flourishing small businesses, I think the people must be educated as well.
Perfect. You know, like I was saying, 36% of the 80% intangible wealth is from education. So if you want to really have the full effect of whatever you are doing, the people must be educated. Perfect, until you see.
And then the same thought is echoed in Colin's second comment, which says, in all you say about first state of Ghana, education plays a major role. Thank you so much, Collins. The masses need to be educated to move in line with the new system of ARM.
Yes.
Thank you.
Sometimes people eat and enjoy the food well when they are very hungry, and Ghanaians are getting to that point. Sometimes when they are half hungry, half full, they don't pay too much attention. They say, oh yeah, whatever. But they are very hungry. So Collins, this is your challenge. This is your challenge to make the system available to everyone you meet. And we know that the people of Ghana who love good life will accept that the present framework of government that established for themselves has not worked and will not work. The one I'm bringing is the one that will work. When you're back home for the second time.
Yeah. Doc, before you go, I normally like to ask a question that is related to what's happening in Ghana right now. If you permit me.
Yes, as if I know I was saying something about it.
Okay, so as a doctor, what do you think about this Agenda 111? What's your thought? Your closing thoughts on that hospital?
Agenda 111. What is the base of deciding that district needs 100 beds? What's the basis of saying that a district needs 100? Well, district A could be 500,000 people. You get 100 beds. District B could be 100,000 people. You get 100 beds. Thoughtlessness, galore. Okay, I want to know the basis for deciding that every district hospital should be 100 beds, so every hospital should be how. Unless the hospitals are going to serve a name of a region. But if they're going to serve human beings, everything should be done according to the population. That's how sensible people do things. So this is just another word. And besides, infrastructure. They are talking about the physical infrastructure. Okay. What about human infrastructure?
The staffing,
Yeah.
the equipment, the people.
Who is going to work there? I mean, you decide that also is a municipality. So you build 100 beds to for Su. That's for 2 houses. 2 houses have 100 people in them. 2 houses have 100 people.
Where in Osu?
Of course. When the COVID nonsense came, they went to Old Fadama. Joy News. They went to Old Fadama. They were looking for somebody. Anyway, they realized that 19 people were living in one room. And this was joking or what? What people go? Because now people were living there. Then you say, oh, Accra Central, you build 100. Only. There is no science behind the allocation of beds. There is no common sense. You see, there is no. Hey, Miss Papa Fio. There is no common sense in deciding that. The same way they said they're going to give 1 million cedis to each constituency. How can you give one constituency with 18,000 people 1 million, another constituency with 180,000 people with 100 million? It is just crazy. They don't know anything. They actually have no defense.
Sophia, you need to behave yourself.
No, she's called Sophia Papa. And the Papa Fios are a big group in Accra, and they say what they want to say all the time. So there we go.
No, you didn't see Sophia Shong's previous comment, and the end of her comment is, we need a dynamic and awake young man like me. Thank you, Sophia, for your comment, and thank you for the good laugh. Thank you. Me, I think this brings us to the close of another very, very interesting program where we drink of your wisdom. We pray that this fair state will come soon, that something would happen to bring it about. But in the meantime, we would all be upgrading ourselves on some of the ideas that ARM is putting forth as the vision for a new Ghana. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. Wherever you are, we come on this program every Saturday at 11 o'clock at Ghana time or 12 o'clock UK time, and wherever else you are, you can adjust for time. But thank you so much for joining us.
9 p.m. Australia time. 9 p.m. Australia time.
9 p.m. Australia time. So that's where NI is right now. And we thank you so much. We look forward to your continuing to join us. Thank you, everybody who joined and made a comment and asked a question. Thank you. We hope we were able to address all your questions. Thank you. See you again next time.